So we have three very important elements of the show. The first starts with the Liberties Weavers. It's a very, very interesting group. For this particular reason, we've talked tonight about the importance of religion in the Dublin area, all these different religions. We've talked about brewing and the importance of brewing. It's indisputable. One of the most famous breweries in the world is here. We've talked a little bit about distilling. This was once the capital of distilling, not just in Ireland, but the entire world. But our next guest contends that the history of this area is in textiles and it's in weaving, and that the weaving industry has given more place names to this area, 60 place names actually, which is far more than brewing and distilling. And she's here to talk about it. Her name is Byrne, and she's from the Liberties Weavers. Okay, so tell us, Claire, about the Liberties Weavers.
So we are a community group, and we formed it first started in 2019. Kathy Scuffle, the historian, and a textile artist, Maria Almqvist, decided to run a short course in weaving and history. I was one of the OGs, but then we started out as an independent group in 2021 during lockdown. I wrote a beautiful constitution, which was much easier when there was no people. It's very hard when you have to live it. And it was about a mix of history and textiles and learning how to weave. And we've become a group of classes 4 times a week.
4 times a week?
Yeah.
Weaving classes?
Yeah.
And do you have a big loom, or do you have a small frame, or how do you do it?
We have we've got a number of different looms. We have ones for making, has anyone been to the Aran Islands and when they were in school and made a Chris belt? That's Inca looms, and then we have rigid head looms for making scarves and tea towels and stuff like that. And then we have one big floor loom, and that's for the big guns. That's for blankets and stuff like that. And
where is the Liberties Weavers based?
The Tinder Yard in just off of Cork Street.
And so, is it like an industrial unit when you go in? It's
like Dublin City Council run apartments, and then a small little room, and we're in the small little room, weaving away.
Weaving away. Liberties Weavers. There's a website.
Yeah,
libertiesweavers.ie, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So anybody can come along. You don't have to be an experienced textiles worker or anything like that.
There's a waiting list. Yeah, there's a waiting list now, for all of the classes really. But you don't have to know how to weave. You're taught how to weave. So we have a tutor, and she teaches us weaving, and we do tapestry and all different types. And Kathy Scuffle comes in and does a couple of talks about weaving in the area, and the importance of Francis Street was to textiles in the 17th century. I might get the centuries wrong, I'm not very good.
That's all right. They won't remember anyway, you know.
Actually, when I first started, I wanted to learn how to weave, and then Kathy rocked up and said she was going to do the history, and I thought, oh Jesus. I won't be listening to that. And then I was like, geez, she's not bad. Like, I might give her a bit of it.
Kathy Scuffle, she's not bad at the old history thing, is she?
Well, I was awake, which was very different. I slept through most of it in school, so yeah.
So you reckon that as many as 60 places around Dublin 8, the Liberties, are named in association with the weaving industry?
Well, there's only one named after brewing. I think that's Powers Lane. Powers Place, yeah. And we have places like Weaver Square, Weaver Close, the Tenterfields.
What
the
Tenters?
So the Tenterfields, or the Tenters, you'd often hear the saying on tenter hooks. So they were big wooden frames, and the cloth would be put onto them and the tension would be pulled on it. And that was so that the sun could bleach them and dry them. So the whole lot of the Tenters area was for that purpose.
So tenter hooks will keep the strain on the textile.
Keeps the tension on the cloth.
So if you have tension on yourself, you're on tenter hooks.
Yeah. You have Stove Tender House, which was then built because we live in Ireland and it rained and keeping the cloth dry wasn't working out outside.
This is called, sorry, this is the Tender House.
Stove Tender
Stove
House.
Tender. Is that a street in Dublin?
No, it's a building and it's like a giant airing cupboard. But now it is, I think it's Sophia Housing now. But that was the big giant airing cupboard for the cloth.
And what else is there?
Pardon?
Did it have an impression?
I would imagine it did here in Ireland, I'd say so.
No, I think what it was, there was a stove inside.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I know you're joking about immersion, but it was kind of pre that technology.
Yeah.
But you'd have a stove inside creating heat, and then you'd have...
the cloth would be hung up on big, large beams.
Right.
And then the heat would just be allowed to rise up and they'd just turn them every so often.
And the rain couldn't get at it because there was effectively a roof on the building, but the wind could come through, yeah.
No, there was no wind.
Oh,
it was just the heat. It was an actual building.
Wow, so it's like a glass house without glass. It's just a heated building.
Yeah, just a big room, a big, very large room.
Yes, you can't hear. All right. Okay, so both of us have to focus more, right? Right up. Think of that guy. Thanks for telling me. I appreciate it. Tell us about one or two more places that are named after the weaving.
We have Cross Stick Alley. Yeah, so they're the cross sticks that go into the loom. They would have been possibly made there. The Tinder Yard, where we actually are, made looms because next door was Atkinson and Co. and they were silk weavers. So they it meant they didn't have to pay for transportation of the looms because they were just next door. There is Palour, which is down in the Tenders.
How's Palour?
Well, because we had the Huguenots come over, so the French Huguenots, or as I thought when Cathy first mentioned it to me, I thought she was talking about eunuchs.
The eunuchs came over.
And I thought to myself, I never learned this in school, and I don't know how to weave that. And then I was told, no, they were the Huguenots. They came over and they were different type of silk weaving, and they left their mark in the place name. So Palour, you think cows, whatever, but actually it's Parley, which is hem cutters. Oh. So they were the finishers of the cloth. Marrowbone Lane was actually, if you look at the Irish, it's Lana Muirma, which is our good lady. And that was after the Huguenots, who were all silk weavers.
Wow. So tell us, for the Culture Days with Dublin Festival, what are you guys doing?
So we have on the Saturday, one of our weavers, who's also a tour guide, is doing the walking tour of the textile industry in the Liberties. So the Liberties Weavers textile walking tour. And then we had a collaboration with Rosemary Costello, who's down there somewhere, who's an NCAD student, and she has been with us now since October, working with the Wednesday group, and it was a collaboration, and it's called Whatever You Say Nothing. Based on, the Irish way of saying things. So no one had ever, years ago, you might not have heard of mental health, but you'd hear, he's not quite himself, or he's not fully there, And so you wouldn't be told it, but you were told it.
Right.
And that collaboration will be on from the 8th to the 11th of May, and that's an exhibition in NCAD in the foyer.
Very good. I'm going to leave it there because we're going to get kicked out of here at 10 o'clock. Folks, Claire Byrne from the Liberties Weavers.